Bans on smoking. Tobacco use, including smoking, is the #1 cause of preventable deaths. According to the World Health Organization, WHO, tobacco-related illnesses kill about 8 million people every year. Cigarette smoke also harms non-smokers. Smoking costs billions of dollars in medical expenses, and most of this money comes from insurance companies and government healthcare programs. Over the last decade, governments across the globe have tried to reduce the damage by prohibiting people from lighting up in public places. In March 2004, Ireland became the first country to pass a nationwide ban on smoking in workplaces. That included the pubs where people gather to drink alcohol. Anyone caught violating the ban can be fined up to €3,000, US $3,300. Some smokers and business owners had objections, but more than 80% of Irish people supported the law, and it has been strictly enforced from the beginning. Just one day after the law was passed, a politician was caught lighting up in a bar near the Irish Parliament. He was immediately fired from the cabinet. If the goal of the ban was to save lives by getting smokers to quit, it has been fairly successful. Irish authorities say that since 2004, the smoking rate has dropped from about 25% of adults to 15%, and smoking-related deaths have declined. The anti-smoking law in Ireland has been highly influential, motivating dozens of other countries to do the same. However, not all smoking bans have been received enthusiastically or effectively enforced. In France, smoking in indoor public places was made illegal in 2006. Yet by 2010, the smoking rate among adults had increased from 28 to 30%. Some observers said this was due to the rebellious spirit of the nation's people. The French are great at making laws, but no one follows them, an anti-smoking activist told the Christian Science Monitor in 2014. Since then, France has adopted other anti-smoking measures, including higher prices on tobacco and changes to cigarette packaging. These efforts seem to have been more successful than the ban, as the country's smoking rate has finally begun to drop. With over 300 million smokers, more than a third of the global total, China presents perhaps the biggest challenge for anti-smoking laws. The city of Shanghai officially outlawed smoking in restaurants during the 2010 World Cup, and the following year, the Chinese government attempted a nationwide ban on lighting up indoors in public. Both laws were largely unsuccessful. So in 2015, the capital, Beijing, passed an even stricter new law against indoor public smoking, with a fine of 10,000 yuan, US $1,600, for businesses that did not comply. Despite these efforts, almost 1/4 of the country's people continue to smoke. The global trend toward laws restricting smoking has produced mixed results. These bans might seem like a simple, straightforward way of fighting an unhealthy and expensive habit. However, not all countries react the same way to anti-smoking laws. Vaping. As smoking cigarettes becomes less common in many countries, vaping becomes more common. The word vaping comes from vaporizer. Personal vaporizers, PVs, also called e-cigarettes, are electronic substitutes for cigarettes. Generally, PVs are filled with an e-liquid. The PV heats the liquid, and the user breathes in the resulting vapor as if it were cigarette smoke. There are many kinds of e-liquids. Some contain nicotine, the addictive drug in cigarettes. Others contain only propylene glycol, a type of liquid sugar and flavoring. The main advantage of vaping is that instead of releasing smoke into the air, it releases only water vapor. Thus, people need not fear the effects of second-hand smoke. There is also good reason to believe that e-liquids are safer for smokers than tobacco, since they contain fewer toxic chemicals. Moreover, makers of e-cigarettes say that they are a great way to help people stop smoking. Some research supports this claim. One large study found that most vapers were smokers who were trying to quit, and that PVs helped them more than other nicotine replacements did. Not everyone agrees that vaping is a good idea. Critics want more restrictions on e-cigarettes. They point out that nicotine is still a harmful drug, whether it is in a cigarette or a PV. They also wonder about the long-term effects of breathing e-liquid vapor, and they criticize the sweet flavors of some e-liquids, which could appeal to kids. Since this is still a relatively new technology, research and debate on the safety of vaping will surely continue.